Hello and welcome to Levant TV Headlines. The EU has backed UN efforts to arrange a ceasefire in Syria's second city, Aleppo, as one of the few good options left in a conflict which has claimed more than 200,000 lives. Jordan's King Abdullah II met his Saudi counterpart in Riyadh Sunday for talks as both nations participate in a US-led bombing campaign against Islamic State group extremists in Syria. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has angrily rejected a Palestinian bid to set a UN deadline for an end to Israel's occupation as he headed to Rome for high-stakes talks with US top diplomat John Kerry. French police have launched raids across the country, dismantling a network sending jihadist fighters to Syria. And Australian police have locked down the centre of Sydney after an armed man walked into a busy downtown cafe, took hostages and forced them to display an Islamic flag, igniting fears of a jihadist attack. Now let's take a look at the top headlines in today's newspapers in the Middle East. Starting in Lebanon, the Daily Star leads reporting that relatives of Lebanon's 25 captive servicemen burned tires outside the Grand Serail in D-Town, downtown Beirut, after some families received phone calls from the captors threatening to kill a hostage. The paper also reports that a Beirut court has decided not to go forward with the land case against a former aide of MP Walid Jumblat over lack of evidence. From the UAE, the Khalij Times leads reporting that Abdullah al-Badri, Secretary General of the OPEC, said the current plummeting oil price scenario is a wake-up call for all GCC countries to adopt a strategy of economic diversification, as he insisted that there was no cause for alarm. The paper also reports that Turkish police on Sunday arrested the editor of the country's biggest-selling newspaper and at least 24 other media figures in a new crackdown on supporters of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's exiled rival, Fethullah Gulen. The Egypt Independent reports that British Ambassador to Cairo, John Casson, launched a branch of Malvern College in Egypt, saying education is the key to Egypt's future. The paper also reports that the East Mediterranean Gas, the company co-owned by Mubarak-era businessman Hussein Salem, has denied circulated reports about its involvement in a gas deal between Egypt and Israel. Now let's take a look at the top Middle East headlines from the UK papers. The Independent leads its Middle East news, reporting that two military commanders who prepared the way for the UK's withdrawal from Basra 5 years ago will be in charge of British forces going back to Iraq in the war against ISIS. Major General Bob Bruce will be in direct command of UK troops, being said as the campaign against the Islamic extremists move on to a new phase of bloody and attritional combat on the ground. The Telegraph leads its Middle East news, reporting that Lebanon's controversial and outspoken Druze leader Walid Jumblat called in a joint statement on Twitter for the cultivation of marijuana to be legalized. Writing in Arabic, Jumblat said it's time to allow hash to be grown and to overturn arrest warrants against people sought for doing so. The Guardian reports that the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas is pushing for a vote in the United Nations Security Council as early as Wednesday on a resolution calling for a deadline to end the 47-year-long Israeli occupation. The move, disclosed late on Sunday night by the chief Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat, comes as Israel's prime minister vowed to reject any attempt to set a deadline for the establishment of a Palestinian state based on 1967 borders or a timeline for ending the occupation. Now let's take a look at the top Middle East headlines in the international papers. From Germany, the Deutsche Welle leads its Middle East news, reporting that the Saudi Interior Ministry has announced that a man suspected of having opened fire on the Germans' car in the east of the country had been arrested. It said the suspect was taken into custody after being wounded in a gun battle with police, and 2 others were also arrested. And finally, China's Global Times reports the extremist Islamic State militants have executed 19 local policemen in Iraq's western province of Anbar, while 7 IS militants were killed in clashes in the northern central province of Salahuddin. And for more updates, please visit levant.tv. Thanks for watching. Be sure to join us again tomorrow. Bye for now.